Muhammad is not a role model. Jesus is. Muhammad, he had many wives, 11 of them. One of them, she was 9 years old. He was 53. I am 50. I cannot marry a girl that has 9 years old. You cannot. That's abuse.
He now said, the Prophet of Islam, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, married about 13 wives. Is it 13 he mentioned or 11? 11 wives. And then he said, one of those 11 wives, it was a 9-year-old girl. A 9-year-old girl. Who will marry a 9-year-old girl? Is a 9-year-old girl ripe enough for marriage? Who does that? So all these ones are, misinformation. And the reason behind that misinformation is because most of the early Muslims were not lettered. They were not people that are conversant with calculation, writing books, I will give you a proof. The Prophet said in one hadith that "Nanu qawmun la naktub." La naktub. He said that we are a community of people who do not write, who is not used to writing. You see, wala nasib, and we are not used to calculation. So it's just that, the parameters of calculation of age has been faulty. The parameters of age calculation were faulty in the Islamic history. That was why you have that kind of record that the Prophet married a 9-year-old girl. But I will now prove it for you. As at the time Prophet Muhammad married Aisha, Aisha was nothing less than 17 years old. Nothing less. In fact, we have some sources that put it around 23, 24, but minimum 17. Now, take evidence number 1. We read it in Al-Isti'ab fi Ma'rifat al-Ashab. That is one of the books that tells us about the history of the Sahaba of the Prophet, the companions of the Prophet. The name of the book is Al-Isti'ab fi Ma'rifat al-Ashab, volume 2, page 616. It is written there that Aisha has an elder sister of different mothers. The name of that elder sister is Asma bint Abi Bakr. Now, that Asma bint Abi Bakr was older than Aisha by 10 years. By how many years? How many years? 10 years. Hold it. Jot it down somewhere. 10 years between Asma'u and Aisha. Fact number 2. In another book, Al-Isabat li Ibn Judge, volume 8, page 14. It is said there that as at the time the Prophet of Islam left Mecca to Medina, that Asma'u was 27 years of age. When Prophet Muhammad was leaving Mecca to Medina, Asma'u was what? What age? 27. Now, if Asma'u was 27 at that year, what would be the age of Aisha? What's the difference of their age? 10. So if this one is now 27 in that year, what would be the age of Aisha in that year? 17. 27 minus 10, the age difference of 10. We have 17. That means as at the time the Prophet was going to Medina, Aisha was already 17 years of age. Then he married her in Medina. So that means, according to this fact, the Prophet married Aisha at the age of 17. Let me give you another evidence so that you'll be convinced. Did you know that there is a part of Islamic history that some people are trying to cover up? And I will tell you in this video. Aisha has been married before the Prophet married her. But that kind of marriage was a marriage of, it is a cultural practice whereby a father will just betroth a daughter to someone from childhood. Yàwó mommy. Abubakar has a friend. The name of that friend is Mut'im. Mut'im. That's the name of the friend. So in order for them to strengthen their friendship, Abubakar and Mut'im, Abubakar betrothed our daughter, Aisha, right from childhood to the son of Mut'im, Jubair. The name of that son is Jubair. Abubakar betrothed her to Jubair, or let's say to Mut'im. He now told Mut'im to marry Aisha for his son. That is the culture. That's how they used to do it. They will not give the son directly because he's still underage. Both of them are still underage. So what they will do is, he will just tell his friend, this is my daughter, take. When your son has grown of age, marry her off to him. That is their culture. So it's not that she will start living with them. No. She will still be under her father. But everybody in the community will be already aware that so-so person and so-so person are already husband and wife, or married off, or betrothed. So that is a kind of custom that they have in Arabia of that time. So Aisha had already been betrothed to Jubair right from childhood. Now, when Prophet Muhammad came with his own faith, this messengership, Islam, this whole thing of Islam started. When Islam started in Arabia, some people now started embracing the religion. They started becoming Muslim. Don't forget that the first adult person, male, to accept Islam was Abu Bakr. Abu Bakr became a Muslim, together with some of his children, not all. That was when. Now, this Mut'im, that man that used to be the friend of Abu Bakr, he didn't accept Islam. He remained a non-Muslim, a pagan, an idol worshipper. He now said, since Abu Bakr had converted to Islam together with Aisha, he would not allow his own son to continue that kind of relationship with Aisha. So he's insisting that it's either Aisha became a non-Muslim and marry his son, or Abu Bakr give another person. So Abu Bakr felt sad. He was sad that what kind of problem is this? And as a matter of fact, did you know that is another persecution that the Muslims, the early Muslims faced? They faced relationship persecution, including a daughter of Prophet Muhammad. Yes. The daughters, all the daughters of Prophet Muhammad had been married before he started Islam, except Fatima. All of them had been married off. Zainab, Ruqayya, Kulthum, they have all been married off to some people before Muhammad now started Islam. So those people are not Muslims. Their husband, fine. Prophet Muhammad started Islam. The daughters will also be what? They turned to the religion of their father. They became Muslims. But their husband did not convert to Islam. Those husbands now started making life a hell. With the exception of Ruqayya, there was no exception. You know what happened? They started making life a hell to them, maltreating those women. When you hear that Sayyidina Uthman married daughter of Prophet Muhammad, it was a marriage out of brotherhood, or let's say out of pity, to help the prophet, just like a sympathy marriage. That wow, because those husbands, they started maltreating the daughters of the prophet to the extent that one of the daughters of Prophet Muhammad died in the process. She sustained a lot of injury. She was pregnant, and the non-Muslims pagans, they were maltreating her. In fact, she was stabbed in the belly, despite the fact that she was pregnant. She was ill for some days and she died. They persecuted them. They used the marriage as a tool that, and they started maltreating those women simply because they became Muslims under their husbands, under their non-Muslim husband. So this is the same thing that happened to Aisha. The family rejected her, that they will not marry her, when everybody in the community has already been saying Aisha is the wife of so people. And as at that time, if that man, Jubair, refused to marry Aisha, nobody in that entire Arabia will marry her, because it is a stigmatization. They believe she is now an outcast. She will be rejected by the society. Abu Bakr was now praying that they accepted Islam. He was sad, he was not happy. So when the proposal of the prophet now came, that Prophet Muhammad wanted to marry Aisha, Abu Bakr was very happy. That was when he now went to meet him, his friend, for the final time. That, my friend, now I have seen somebody want to marry my daughter. Are you still interested in Jubair, your son, marrying my daughter or not, before I go ahead and accept their proposal? They said he's not going back. There's no going back. It's either Aisha became a non-Muslim or there is no marriage. So they terminated the age-long friendship relationship. They terminated it. And that was when Abu Bakr accepted to give Aisha in marriage to the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So if she had been 9 years old, as these people are saying, would she have been divorced? Would she have been married off to somebody and divorced again? Then the Prophet married her? So you see, it is just a matter of insufficient information that is reaching the people outside there. So the real fact there is that Aisha was a divorcee. Though she did not spend a single day in the house of that man, but according to their tradition, she was a divorcee. She was divorced. Because they see that tradition as a marriage. It is a marriage on its own in their culture. So it is not a fallacy. It is not a false information to say that Aisha has been married off to somebody and divorced before the Prophet married her. You can read this one in At-Tabaqat al-Kubra. Because some people will be saying it is in Sahih Bukhari that the Prophet married Aisha at 9 years old. Sahih Bukhari is not the history book of Islam. Yes, it's not the history book of Islam. The first person that wrote the history of Islam is Ibn Ishaq. That's the first person. So when we are talking about the first book of the first history book of Islam that was written, it's not Sahih Bukhari. It's not even number 2. It's not number 3. It's not number 4. Number 1 is Ibn Ishaq. Number 2 is Sirah to Ibn Hisham. Number 3 is At-Tabari. Number 4 is Tabaqat al-Kubra. So Sahih Bukhari is not even among 1 to 5. So when you go to Tabaqat al-Kubra, that was written by Ibn Sa'd, volume 7, page 100, page 59, It is there. All this story is there. You can Google it. Jubair and Aisha. Go and read about it. Jubair. Jubayr. That's Jubair. Bun Mut'im. Muthim. Jubair ibn Mut'im and Aisha. Go and read about the relationship. So that was how the prophet. Now, the man was now saying the prophet married 11 wives. That is not a good role model. So if the prophet did, let me even, before I talk about the reasons for the marriage, Prophet Muhammad married 11 wives. He said because of that, it's not a good role model. Now, you now said Jesus Christ. According to him, you said Jesus Christ should be the role model. Because why? Because of what? Is it because Jesus Christ did not marry? Now, because Jesus Christ did not marry, he should be a role model, then he should not marry also. And nobody, no Christian should marry. If you want to make Jesus Christ your role model as a Christian, then you are not supposed to marry. Because according to them, they believe Jesus Christ did not marry. Even though in a real historical fact, we discover that Jesus Christ actually married not even one, two women. Yes, I have the record. I have a video made on that. Jesus Christ actually married two women. Mary Magdalene was one of his wives. So, but that is a topic for another day. You can go and make your research. Now, let's talk about the 11 women. The 11 women. The first one is Khadijah. That's the first wife of the prophet. She proposed to the prophet to marry her. She was a widow. Yes. Did you know that Khadijah, the first wife of prophet, has been widowed twice? Meaning she had married twice before the prophet. Prophet Muhammad was the third husband of Khadijah. He married the first one, he had died. She became a widow. She married another man. That spent some years with him. That one too died. Became the widow the second time. Before she now proposed to Prophet Muhammad to marry him. Somebody who has not tasted a woman before. So Prophet Muhammad married Khadijah when his energy was at its peak. When he was still very active. He now married somebody who is in the 40s. Now, if he had been a womanizer, somebody who would like women so much, would he have agreed to such proposal? A young person, a single, trying to marry a widow, not a single widow, twice widowed, with children. Because Khadijah had children in those relationships. And he agreed to marry her. And the funniest part is, he spent 15 years with Khadijah. I'm saying 15. 25 years. Sorry for that. They spent 25 years, 25 good years together. He did not think of marrying another wife. Despite the fact that there are a lot of virgins, a lot of women in Arabia, beautiful ones that he can choose. He's now a prophet. He's now controlling followers. He didn't marry any person, only Khadijah, for 25 years. He married at the age of 25, spent the next 25 years with an old woman. You know, as at the time Khadijah died, Khadijah was 65. The prophet did not think of marrying another person, despite the fact that Khadijah has been in menopause since 50. Khadijah married the prophet when she was 40. She was 40 when she married the prophet. And the prophet was 25. She reached her menopause at 50. That is just 10 years. She became an old woman. 65. They are still together. not even thinking of marrying another person. You know, if Khadija did not die, the Prophet would have continued with that trend, living with an aged woman far above his age. He didn't think of anything. When Khadija died, he became devastated. He became broken. That where is he going to start? And as a matter of fact, the Prophet of Islam did not marry another wife for 2 years after Khadija. Good 2 years after Khadija, he did not think of marrying another wife. It was until one woman approached him that, "Oh, Prophet of God, you cannot remain single. It is not proper for you as a prophet to remain single. You need a woman. You need somebody you can be talking to, seeking advice from, discussing together, cooking for you." That was when it was even that woman that suggested Sauda, another widow, not Aisha, another widow. He said he cannot go and approach her. The woman said, "Don't worry, I will go and do the work for you. You just don't worry." It was the woman that went to the widow, Sauda, somebody who is already in the menopause. You know, that you can marry, you are a Muslim, you can marry our prophet. So she agreed. They tied the knot. After tying the knot, the second wife has come in now. What this man is counting 11. See, when the second one comes, the woman now said, "Oga prophet, we will not be copulating together. You will not have any sexual relationship with me, because I'm already aged. I'm already old. I don't need a man. The only thing I need is shelter. That's why I accepted this offer. I need somebody who I can be talking to and who can house me. And also, I like that title, the wife of prophet. That's why I accepted." Eh? Prophet was like, "Hey, so nothing like sexual." He said, "Nothing, no." She now said, "Why don't you go and marry a young girl like Aisha?" It was the woman that suggested Aisha for him. So he agreed. Those people went to Abu Bakr. The Prophet did not meet Abu Bakr himself. Some people went there to go and talk to Abu Bakr. "This your Aisha. She's just, what is she doing? What happened? What are you?" He said she has betrothed Aisha to Jubairo, the son of Mut'im. He doesn't understand what is happening, blah, blah, blah. So why didn't you allow the prophet, your friend, to marry her? Abu Bakr said, "Will the prophet marry her?" He said, "Yes." He was happy. That's how the third wife come in. So now Hafsa, number 4. Hafsa was also a widow, the daughter of Umar. Widow, no husband, back to the house of her father. Hafsa, the husband has died. She is now back home to the father's house, Umar. What do you think Umar will be feeling following somebody as a prophet? His daughter is at home, widow, no husband. He will be feeling sad. Whenever he reach home, he see his daughter, he will just be feeling sad. With children, nobody will marry widow. They don't used to marry widow in Arabia, even up to today. Once you are widow in Arabia or divorced, that is the end of your discussion. The prophet took her in, married her. So we can compare all this kind of relationship to marriage of pity. You know, after Hafsa, we have Zainab bint Qusayma. This Zainab bint Qusayma, also widow, 60 years of age. Just like the age of Aisha and the age of Khadija, his late wife. 60 years. This, they will not tell you all these things. They will just say he married 11 wives. Is it a womanizer that will be marrying widow, marrying 60 years people? Zainab bint Khuzaimah was 60 as at the time the prophet married her. She was a widow, no husband. All these people, widow. They are just useless. They are just nobody used to talk to them in Arabia. Nobody will even say, I love you, wish I love you. They will not even greet them. Once you are widow, your husband is dead. That's the end for your life. You think Khadija that proposed to Muhammad was not wise? If he didn't marry Muhammad, nobody will marry her in Arabia. Widow, they don't marry widow. Up to today, that's the culture. Go to people who are there, ask them. He married Zainab bint Khuzaimah. Salama. This number 6 now, out of 11. Also widow. Salama. Above 50. Widow. No husband. When we say widow, the husband is dead. The prophet married her. Support. To do what? But there's one more thing to that of Salama. The tribe of Salama. The tribe that she comes from. The Muslims need an alliance with that tribe. So the prophet felt like this Salama, if he married her, it will strengthen a bond between the Muslim Ummah and a tribe. Number what now? Number 7. But Khadija is dead. So it should have been they should have been saying 6, but counting Khadija. Number 7. Zainab bint Jahsh, divorcee. She was a what? Divorcee. Somebody who was divorced. But why? There is a tradition in Arabia as at that time. If you adopt somebody, saying you adopt this person to be your child, the norm is that they believe it is the same as a biological child. An adopted child is equal to a biological child. Islam says no. The Quran, Allah revealed a verse to that effect that no, adopted child is not equivalent to a biological child. And as a result of that, the Quran instructed that any adopted child should be called by the father's name. If you don't know the father's name of that child, then you give a name, Adam, the son of Adam, to the child, because Adam is the father of all of us. You don't use the person who adopted the child, the name of the person who adopted the child, to call the child as a surname. No, Islam doesn't allow that. To further abolish that custom, in Arabia, if your adopted child divorce a woman, his adopted child, you are not related by blood, adopted child divorce a woman, you can't marry that woman, and nobody will even marry a divorcee. They don't marry divorcee, as I've said earlier. In Arabia, they don't marry divorcee. They don't used to marry a widow. So now, Allah now said, we need to abolish some customs, some traditions in Arabia. One of it is, let them know that they can marry widow. Make yourself an example. So he has shown the examples. Let them know they can marry divorcee. He showed them example by marrying divorcee. And this time around, abolishing the custom that once your adopted child divorce a woman, you cannot marry her. They said, the Quran said no. You can marry the wife of your a divorced woman of your adopted child. Divorced woman of your adopted child. If your adopted child divorced a woman, say, go away. I'm not doing again. And by all means, they tried to settle it. They were not able to settle it. Okay? Just for them to know that the adopted child is not the same as biological child. And the prophet was told to marry the woman. If he had not done that, the Arabs still believe an adopted child is still the same and has the same position as a biological child. But Islam is saying it's separate. Don't treat an adopted child in some rights as a biological child. So you can care for an adopted child, you can do caring, you can do all sorts of charity for adopted child, you can raise an adopted child, you can give education, you can give property, but not equivalent, not making it an equal to a biological child. That is the position of Islam. After Zainab bint Jahsh, we have Habiba. She's also a widow. After becoming a widow, she was married to another person. She became divorced again. After becoming divorced, the Prophet married her, Habiba. So, we also have Juwairiya. This Juwairiya widow. Also a widow, yes. Okay, so this one also has another reason, apart from supporting widow, tribal alliance. The tribe of that woman. The Muslims need the alliance of that tribe. So they see this as an opportunity. So it is more of political. The same thing happens with Habiba. It's more of political. That Habiba, okay, happens to be the daughter of a king of a particular land. Yes. Also a widow, as at the time the Prophet married her. So, all as a tribal reinforcement to reinforce intertribal unity. We also have Maimuna, divorcee. Sophia was also a widow, as I've said. Maimuna was a divorcee. So, all of them, including Aisha, is either they were divorcee or widow. All the women the Prophet married in his life, starting from number 1, Khadija, down, boom, no single. None of them was a single woman. Single as in not married before. None of them, including Aisha. So what are you now saying when you say, well, what this man has done is something that even calls for an award, calls for a global recognition, you know? So who is that kind of person who will give his life for humanity, give his entire life to serve humanity, deciding to be marrying people who are regarded as outcasts of the society, women who are regarded as odd, outcast, useless, non-valuable, women who are regarded as non-entities of the society. And he gave his entire life to bring them in, to incorporate them and give them a new standard, raise their ranks, raise their standard to the societal standard that people will now regard them as Ummul Mu'minin, Ummul Mu'minat, Ummul Mu'minin. They start respecting them. Ummul Mu'minat, Ummul Mu'minin. They start respecting them. If you had not married this kind of category, they would have been useless the entire life, despite the fact that they followed the Prophet and accepted Islam. So, the point has been made. Wassalamu alaikum.